morning, squad. Welcome back to a late summer episode of season 3 here from the Sawtooth Mountains. I've always wanted to come up here since being here in the winter, and I made the the 5-hour trek up to Guanella Pass, which is just north of Sun Valley, and looking down at a town called Stanley, Idaho, which is kind of like the gateway to the Sawtooth, I think. Not super familiar, but I have a big trip planned to the PNW coming up here soon, but I needed to test a few things with the van, and I honestly just wanted to bring it on a trip to make sure everything was all good before going on a bigger trip. So gonna explore around the Sawtooth for the next sort of just 2 days and enjoy the national forest, which I've said before is honestly one of my favorite things because they're a little bit less regulated than a national park, but in my opinion they're just equally as beautiful. So it should be a beautiful day here, and just enjoyed an awesome sunrise here. Really stoked to explore these jagged mountain range in the summertime. So the plan today, it looks like we are right here at the start, the Iron Creek trailhead. We need to kind of come up, stay to the right, and ultimately make it to Sawtooth Lake, which is kind of like the quintessential hike here in the Sawtooth. I think we're looking at around a 5-ish mile hike one way, so it should be about a 10-mile round trip. Right now, weather's really nice. It's actually a bit cloudy, might rain, so kind of brought some clothes in case we do get caught in a storm, but really excited for this one. I've been wanting to come up here for a long time now, and stoked that it kind of all came together.
Just wave my hand to the world outside like it's all okay.
I even brought my drone, but looks like that won't be happening.
Who can stop my hands from shaking? I need you to take them, and I don't wanna wait all night. I'm coming alive, and my senses are a little demented. Can this be right?
All right, crew, we are about 60 minutes in at almost 3 miles. The hike so far has been really nice, actually. It's sort of just a gradual incline as we go up. The footing is really nice. It's almost like the sandy, like light stone sort of thing. So the footing's nice. It's not like super rocky. There hasn't been any gnarly river crossings or anything like that, but the weather seems to be kind of moving in and out. These clouds are just ripping across the peak, so it's like pretty gray in some areas, and then it's like blue sky in front of me. So I think that's just the nature of being up in the mountains, but so far been pretty good. I think we have maybe around 2 or 3 miles left in this thing.
It feels like my heart's gonna die if I don't run out this door. I can't believe what my eyes have seen. I just woke up in a broken dream. Who can stop my hands from shaking? I need you to take them. I'm burning down the house.
Down here on the shore of Alpine Lake, this was like 200 feet maybe off the trail, so I figured if we're gonna go right past it, might as well check this lake out as well. Super beautiful, except it is quite windy. It seems like obviously as the higher we are going up, the wind seems to be intensifying a little bit, and the clouds, like I said before, are just like ripping back and forth, which is making it for a pretty cool setting compared to the usual just like bluebird western skies in the summertime. I want to do a quick stop here at Alpine before we make the final push over to Sawtooth Lake.
I can't believe what my eyes have seen. I just woke up from a broken dream. Who can stop my hands from shaking? I need you to take them, and I don't wanna wait all night. I'm coming alive, and my senses are a little demented. Can this be right?
believe we are getting really close because we just hit the 5-mile marker, and I think it's supposed to be shy of 10 miles. So I have a feeling it is going to be extremely windy when we get up to the lake, because in the exposed areas already it is pretty brutal with this wind. So the views just get more and more spectacular the higher you go. It seems like we're just about to break tree level here, tree line. So stuff should really be opening up, but peaks behind me here are just super jagged. It reminds me of the Tetons. And yeah, you can see this wind gonna be pretty gnarly as we come up the crest here, but super sick hike.
I can't believe what my eyes have seen. I just woke up from a broken dream. Can't stop my hands from shaking. I need you to take them, and I don't wanna wait all night. I'm coming alive and my senses are a little demented. Can this be right?
Trying to get out of this wind a little bit because it's so gnarly. But for lunch I made myself a sandwich, which I've already almost eaten. I have like these little chip popper thingies, which are actually pretty good. And then for this 6-mile descent as a little treat, I got some wild berry Skittles to get us on the way down. So pretty good. We clocked in just about 12 miles on that hike, and it took us a good about 5 hours, and that's with stopping and all that sort of good stuff. But highly recommend that hike on a really nice, like, hot summer day. I think that hike would be unreal. It's a little unfortunate that it was so windy up at the top, made it like not as enjoyable once you really stood still for a little bit, but like the rest of the hike was really nice. So I'm super stoked I was able to do that one, super stoked I was able to cross that off the list. And I think I honestly saw the same 6 people on the trail the entire day. Like there was just no one out for whatever reason, so super nice. But I don't think I ever mentioned it on the vlog, but my water pump cracked. Must have been some point over the winter, because when I tried to reinstall my water this spring, I couldn't get any suction and found a crack in this water pump. So part of this trip is exploring the new water system that I put in. I don't really use the water in the winter because it freezes, so the water system in here is definitely the weak point of the van in my opinion, and it's really only operable like 3 months of the year. But I threw everything together last night. So far it seems to be working pretty well. Now I have water on the faucet and then also on the water filter itself here. So really cool, because like I said, I don't usually have water. I'm always having to use jugs and just bring water with me, but the fact that I can use the sink, it's really nice. This is really hard to see, but I don't know if I've like really showed you guys my water system, but basically all that's going on here is there's a gray water tank that's catching everything from the sink, and then an active 6-gallon freshwater tank. Right down there is a water pump that I put in. This thing with the nipple on it is an accumulator tank or an accumulator tank. Basically just make sure everything runs pretty well and it doesn't pulse as much. And then that all just runs through some normal plumbing line. And then you see those 2 cylinder looking things. Those are the 2-stage water filter. So there's a sediment and then I believe a carbon filter that just really filters out the water that I'm going to drink, because when you're traveling around, I don't really know where you're getting your water from. So just a nice filter on that is always welcome. I haven't really found a good way to perfect the water system with winter van living. As soon as it gets cold, the water just freezes. It's really hard to keep it at a temperature where it's not going to freeze. So that was why I didn't put like an external tank underneath the van or something like that. So I think the answer is to just winterize this system and then only use the water in the summer. But anyways, stoked to finally have some running water in the van.
Probably the best thing about hanging out in national forests is just the amount of camping that's available, whether it's like proper campgrounds or dispersed camping. You can basically camp just about anywhere. Few like restrictions in terms of like proximity to water, but for the most part there's just so many forest roads, so many campgrounds. So the first stop here, could definitely make this work, but there is a ton of people. It's kind of just like an open parking area, so I'm probably going to find spot number 2.
Oh my child, I know you're hurt and you can't let go.
The second time was a charm, and we ended up finding a nice little spot. Kind of nice. I would probably rate it 7 out of 10 because it is still kind of close to the road, but I expect it to die down in a little bit here. But we are right on the Salmon River here, so that's pretty cool. One major issue with the spot, which kind of makes me realize why people probably haven't taken it, is because it is quite unlevel. You can see we are pretty tilted down the hill, and I haven't been able to find any good rocks to level the back, so what I might do is just kind of flip around so I'm parallel with the river instead of perpendicular to it, if that makes sense. That might just be a little bit more level ground. It really sucks when you're not level, both for cooking, for standing, for sleeping, so I need to invest in a pair of leveling blocks so this wouldn't be an issue, but I think right now this might be our best option.
Be a good man inside. Did everything that you thought you should. Didn't seem to do you any good. I know you've tried so hard. I know you've done your...
I don't want to say the Sawtooths are underrated. I think that's the wrong word, but don't sleep on the Sawtooths. The Sawtooths are pretty unreal. So I have another big day tomorrow. So to keep checking out this area. So I'm going to catch some sleep here. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Hope you enjoyed it. Yeah, come back next time to see like part 2 of this little weekend ripper. Peace out.
It'll be alright.